Today's organizations work differently. People work from home, on the road or at the client site. Their documents are stored in the cloud, on the USB drive or on different team shares. Big data arrived at nearly zero costs. The type of work is also different. It's fast-paced and highly collaborative. Traditional knowledge management tools are too sophisticated, and centralistic approaches can quickly become virtual water coolers because they get outdated just at launch. In a work environment that demands immediate response for the information retrieval, PD tools and methods that enable greater transparency into knowledge and the people behind. Many situations exist in which multiple users generate electronic files on a plurality of client computers that are connected to a network or cloud. The users frequently store their files on different locations only accessible via their local computers. These stored files are generally not accessible to other users, causing duplication of work and other inefficiencies that could be avoided if users were able to locate files on other user devices without disrupting access rights and data security. Big data, cloud and centralistic document management are like the Bermuda Triangle. They eat up your documents and let them disappear. How much time do you spend each day searching for content and documents you are sure that they must be somewhere? How much time do you spend asking your colleagues if they have a document on the topic? If you have a document, how much time do you spend on checking if this is the latest version or maybe even colleagues have created newer ones? How much time do you spend recreating something that you or a peer has already done in the past but you can't find it at the time you need it? How much time do you spend looking for a colleague or expert that knows some facts behind a found document or report? I would phrase it this way. Noggle is delivering a managed, peer-to-peer based infrastructure to establish a secure and trusted network between your peers to find information that matters. Noggle is a solution to provide managed distributed search functionality to find documents within your knowledge peers. The application provides methods and tools for indexing and for searching files across a plurality of clients. Okay, now we need some examples. Could you please explain how it works?
Yeah, sure. I will give you some use cases here. So let's review a standard scenario. So here we have Mark. Mark is an engineer, and here we see his workplace. And in his work environment, he has three locations where Mark saves his work files. So the first location is a folder on his local client storage. There he saves the project documents he is using during his current work tasks. There's a second storage location, which is located in the private cloud configuration of the company. And there the public official documents are stored and shared within his team. And Mark uses a third storage space, which is located in the SharePoint. And there they have several engineering specifications as documents saved there. Mark is not alone in his environment. So we also have John. John is the boss of Mark. So he's most of the time not available for Mark because John is highly used and booked during his daily schedule. So John officially uses two main locations to store all the documents. So first of all, John has mainly all these legal and contract documentations with the clients about anything. So it's morely a locked private area where John stores these very sensitive documents. So it's local storage only John has access to. For sure, John has some other documents, mainly client presentation, as John is mainly doing all these client presentation and discussing during sales cycle. So these client presentation are on the move, so he uses his USB drive to store all these client presentations there. As another third person, I want to introduce Maria. Maria is a colleague of Mark and John. And mainly responsible for the back office and research topics here. So, and she's also a legal expert in several areas so they are working on. So Maria has also a local storage where there are private engineering documents are saved because from her work environment where she has done a lot of work before. She has a lot of engineering documents, so she has a lot of expertise in the area Mark is also working in, which she stores in her local client storage somewhere, and it's also locked because these are their private engineering documents from several other projects here. She has another storage area where all these research stuff is shared. So this is a central file share, which is located in the network somewhere where a lot of research documents from several projects are just placed there for saving. And she uses a team network folder, especially where she works together with all the legal colleagues on a lot of legal and law topics, which are then in a special network folder shared with the legal colleagues within the team. So this is the work environment. And the use case I want to review is that Mark is now challenged with a special task. So as always, Mark has to work now on a very urgent project update for the next year's funding of the big project the company is working on. So this was not a planned task. So this task must be done until end of business today. So as this question arrives at Mark's desks and in his work environment, the main question he has is what, where, and who has the latest infos on the current project. So this is the task he needs to solve to put together this presentation and update that the project sponsor is able to secure next year's funding. So therefore, Mark needs access to everything that is available from the current situation of the project. So in his hero environment, Mark now, in the standard scenario, Mark is only able to browse or search these three locations he has access to for his local documents. So the first problem which is arriving is now that Mark has to browse manually these three locations. So he has to go in the file space and review the project documents in his local storage. Then he needs to open the cloud and browse where are some documents saved here. And then at the third, he needs to open the SharePoint and browse there. So it's very time consuming what Mark needs to be done. So the first topic now, which Noggle brings into place here, that Mark is using the Noggle Client on his computer. And what Noggle is doing now, Noggle builds a library on top on the locations where Mark saves his important documents. So this is what Mark configures himself. So he tells Noggle where his documents are located in and which documents he wants to be in the library. And afterwards, Noggle builds the library on the full text of the documents located on these 3 locations here. So, and once done that, this is what Noggle is doing as the client tool, then Mark only needs to access the library, and the library is then the single point of contact for all 3 locations. So it offers then the search functionality with a very easy interface, just to search, to request the main topics he is looking for, and then Noggle will search and find all documents in all spaces based on the library and the full text index which Noggle has built on. So this helps Mark on his own workplace, to make work a little more simple. But the real interesting point now comes into place. If John also builds a library on his 2 locations, so that also John has the bonus on just searching one library, and Maria is doing the same. So the first thing where Noggle helps is to make it more easy to discover, to find documents which are fragmented over different locations somewhere on the workplace, on your private workplace. So it helps now these 3 colleagues. But as we go back to the question Mark is challenged with, the problem is now that Mark knows that for sure John has the latest client presentations on the project here. But these client presentations are sensitive, so Mark has not the latest client presentation. Now the problem during the day is that Mark is not able to reach John, because John is the boss, he's very busy and he is all the day in meetings. So at the time Mark needs this information on the latest client presentation, Mark is not able to get the latest client presentation until the end of the day. So, and Mark does not know if he has the latest version, or maybe John has a newer version, and John is not reachable at this point in time. The same occurs to Maria. So when Mark needs to do the update on this question here, Mark needs to know if there are maybe some updated research documents available, which might help him. On top of that, maybe they have discovered some additional legal topics here in the legal team where Maria is working in close relation with, that would also help Mark to build the latest update here. So as Maria is not available on that day, it's very hard for Mark to know if there's something new regarding client presentation, regarding research stuff or legal documentations here, because he's not able to search John or Maria's files because he has not access to. So, and this is where the second main functionality of Noggle now comes into play. This is where the Noggle network comes into play, as Noggle is not only a client application, it's also a cloud-based service. It's a managed service. And one functionality is the so-called peer-to-peer library management. This means that now Maria securely shares his library or her library with Mark and other colleagues. So Maria says, okay, I know Mark, I know 2 other colleagues or 3 other colleagues, and these colleagues are now allowed to browse my library, because we're working in a team-based environment. So it's okay if my colleagues can search my search space. They don't need access to the documents, but it's okay if Mark will be able to see if I have updated documents on the topic. And the same now appears for John. So John also decides that John securely shares his library with Mark and Maria. So John, as the boss, knows that he is very hard available during the day, so it makes sense for John that Maria and Mark are able to check if there are updated client presentations or if there are updated content documents which are done with the client. So it will help John also that Maria or Mark does not call him every minute to check if there are new documents. So Mark and Maria would be able to do that. So what they do is they upload their library into the Noggle network. The Noggle network is a managed service which holds these 2 libraries and for sure a lot of other libraries from other colleagues, and it's a secure place. So everything what is leaving the desk or the client of John and Maria is encrypted by latest standards. So everything what the Noggle network now holds, it has the information that these 2 libraries that Mark is allowed to access these two libraries. In the network itself, these libraries are encrypted by latest technology. So what happens now in our use case we are reviewing here is that Mark now checks his Noggle account and receives new shared libraries from Maria and John. So when now Mark opens his Noggle client and checks back with the Noggle network, he now sees that there are two libraries which he is allowed to access. So these two libraries are now available here on the desk of Mark. So Mark has now an extended search space. So Mark is now able to access the search space, including John's library, including Maria's library, and including his own library. Which means now that Mark is on one single place on his desktop now able to instantly find knowledge and documents in his project documents folder, in the private cloud with the publication docs, in the engineering specifications on the SharePoint. These three locations are accessible by himself. But on top of that, he can also search the legal and contract docs, which only John has access in his local storage. Mark can also instantly search in the client presentation of John's USB drive if there are some updated documents. And that's not all. Also, Mark is able to review the private engineering docs of Maria if there's interesting content on the topic he's looking for. He can review the research documents in the central file share of Maria, and he's able to browse the legal documents or to see if there is some new content he's looking for in the legal documents Maria shares with her team. So this is what really helps Mark in the situation I've described. On his desktop, he is now able to access all these libraries. He does not need to have access to the documents or to the storage location, and this is important now. He only has access to the libraries, so he can see if there are updated documents or if there are documents of interest for the task at hand. And if so, Noggle would tell Mark, here there are 1, 2, 3, 4 these documents which might be interesting to your point of interest, and then Mark can directly reach out to John or Maria and to request this document. So John and Maria does not need to help Mark in searching if there are documents. This is what Mark now can do on his own, instantly on his desktop, where John and Maria need not to be available during this time. So this is a real helpful thing during daily work, if you are able just to browse documents even you are not accessible or you're not allowed to access directly without disrupting access rights. But that's not all. There's another topic. So if we have a close look into how collaborations work, there are a lot of anonymous colleagues within the organization, which Mark does not know. And even the colleagues does not know that Mark has the task at hand to update the next year's project funding request. So in this example, we have Anna here. Anna is also working in the same corporation, but Mark and Anna don't know about each other. So therefore, there's another feature within the Noggle network, which is called document-based expert retrieval with some geolocation features, which means that now Anna or everyone can build an expert profile, which means that the expert or the colleague just selects 3 documents from the latest work, like an article, a presentation, or a draft or a working paper on something. And these 3 documents describe the current tasks or knowledge which Anna has. So these documents are then indexed, and Noggle builds a fingerprint based on these documents. So there's no need to update or create profiles. The profiles will be created automatically by Noggle based on the documents, in this case, and Anna has selected. So what Anna is doing here, she has updated her profile information based on 3 working documents from a local computer. And in this scenario, Anna has used similar content now, which Mark is looking for. So for example, Anna is responsible for the financial reporting on projects, and from their current work, the profile knows that Anna is working on project reporting, funding and finance. So, and this is what Anna then uploads into the Noggle network, which is only the fingerprint, not the documents. So that the Noggle network has a fingerprint about Anna's current work. So this is saved also in the Noggle work securely. And what Mark now can do in his situation, he can also send now, there are also other profiles saved here. Mark can now send a request so that Mark can check relevant documents, so that Mark has found 3 to 4 to 5 documents, like a presentation on the project, and now he can check based on the presentation or the document he has found if there are experts available which have a similar profile against the document or the topic he's looking for. So what Noggle is now doing, that Noggle will now check the document that Mark has found and will see if if Noggle has some expert profiles which match which document which Mark has maybe found in Maria's library. So maybe Mark now found a legal document in Maria's library with interesting content, interesting topic, which seems to be relevant for the topic he needs to do based on the update here. So now Mark can check if there are experts within the organization which maybe can tell something behind these topics, because often you don't search a document at all, you search an expert which knows some facts behind the document or financial report. This is often more interesting than the document itself. So at the same time, Mark can research if there are documents available. He is also able to search if there are colleagues or experts available which might have some knowledge on the task or document he has found. So, and in this case, as he has selected some documents related to his task, Noggle will tell that Mark that there's Anna as a finite expert at the task he's looking for. Even Mark and Anna don't know themselves. So, but now Noggle is able, based on the document Mark has found, which then has closely related to the fingerprint of Anna, so that now Noggle will inform Mark about that Anna might be an expert on the topic he's looking for. So now Mark can get directly into contact with Anna and check back if this might help. So this is another important topic, as we are often not only looking for documents, we are looking on the expertise, on the knowledge behind documents, and therefore now knowledge helps to connect people and documents in the search space. Yeah, this is one scenario. I mean, you can think of a lot of other topics and scenarios here, but let's stick to this one scenario first here. I hope this helps a little bit to explain how